So now it's time to learn our first looping construct. So far, we've seen that statements go from first one, second, third, fourth, fifth, and they go in a sequence. Then we saw that we could alter the course of that sequence by making Boolean decisions. If something is true, do this. Otherwise, it's not true, do something else, and so forth. Now we're going to learn how to repeat a code block as many times as is necessary for a particular requirement. The first construct that we're going to learn is the while loop, and that's pictured on the tablet. Let's take a look. The syntax of the while loop is the keyword while, and then some Boolean condition, which will be tested. And if that Boolean condition evaluates to true, we'll do a code block and then repeat the test of the Boolean condition. And that loop will take place as many times as is necessary until that Boolean condition evaluates the false, in which case we come way down here. All right, let's look at it in a different way using a structure called or a picture called a flowchart. We come in from the top, and you see how the color coding here maps to the syntax. So we come in here from the top, which is here, and we evaluate the Boolean condition. And if the Boolean condition here is true, true is true, we come and execute the code block. And as is implied by the term loop, we loop back to immediately before the test of the Boolean condition. Now, presumably, something inside the code block will cause a change that will result in the Boolean condition evaluating to false, thereby exiting the loop. But this is not always the case. Sometimes, if a loop is written in such a way that it never terminates, it's a bug. That's called an infinite loop. But sometimes it's appropriate to purposefully write an infinite loop, and you'll see that later on in the course. So just to complete the flow chart, if the Boolean condition evaluates to false, you'll take this route and continue on past the code. Now let's take a look at a code example in a full program. So here is a program which will roll a d6, an ordinary die, and it will roll 2 die each time inside the loop, and the loop won't stop until both die come up as ones, and therefore the loop will stop when you roll snake eyes, colloquially known as 2 ones. Okay, so the dice rolling function is given here. So this way, by rolling it up inside of a function, I can very neatly ask the die to be rolled once and then again on the next line. So remember that a function is tying up a number, any number of statements into a nice, pretty wrapped present. And this way you can make use of that little beautiful, nicely wrapped box as many times as you need to. So die 1 is getting a value of 1 to 6. Die 2 is getting a value of 1 to 6. The results will be printed. We're incrementing a counter so that we can find out at the end of the program how many rolls it took in order to roll snake eyes. And that's the interior of the loop. Now let's take a look. That's the code block of the loop. Let's take a look at the terminating condition. So while die 1 isn't a 1, or die 2 isn't a 1. Keep doing that sequence of statements inside the braces. So the only way for this while loop to terminate is if both die 1 and die 2 roll to a value of 1. Okay, so let's take a look at the execution here. This is a compile of the program, and notice that your programs, your CPP files, don't have to be named main.cpp as long as one of the files in the build process includes the function called main. You're okay. So this program's called whileloop.cpp. I'm going to compile it, turning on all warnings, wall, enabling debugging -G, and specify using the C++11 standard. There's the compile, no warnings, I'm happy. Let's run it once. And it took 6 rolls, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 rolls to get a snake eyes. Let's run it again. This time it took 38 rolls to get snake eyes. And let's run it one more time. This time took 37. Oh, one more time, 8 rolls. So you see there's a great deal of variance. In fact, each time I run the program, it's taking a different number of rolls to roll snake eyes. How are we arranging that? Well, we're making use of a random number generator. There is more than one way to use random numbers in a C++ program. We're making use of a very simple approach that is also compatible with the older programming language C, and we'll include a library header that allows us to access a clock that gives us the time of day down to very small fractions of a second. And that way, every time we run the program, if we sample that time and use that to start off our random number generator, since the program will be run at different times of day, even down to a fraction of a second, we'll get a different sequence of random numbers. Here is the invocation of the random number generator. This is requesting a random number. It will be in the form of an integer, and it is from 0 to a very big number. So because it's outside the range of the number of pips on a face of a die, I use the modulus operator here to bring that range down to 0 to 5. That's what mod 6 would do. So since I want 1 through 6, not 0 to 5, I add 1 to the result and return that. This statement here on line 15 is the statement that incorporates the time of day into the seeding, the starting of the random number generator. If that line were not there, then the random number generator would give you back a sequence of what appears to be random numbers. However, each time the program is run, you'll get the same sequence of random numbers. Okay? So there you have it, that we were able to get, simply by doing this and then calling rand, we were able to get a different sequence of random numbers each time the program is run. Very good. So there is the while loop and a program that uses the while loop. Okay, thanks.